Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Strike Zone with St. Paul Saints Manager George Tsamis. Strike Zone is a weekly program that gives you, the fans, the opportunity to ask the St. Paul skipper questions about the Saints, baseball or sports in general, or just seek the skipper's wisdom about life events that are going on. In this week's episode, the skipper talks with us about his excitement about the upcoming season, including team updates that he's going to provide for us. He shares with us his insights into the Cubs and if this really could be their year. And what does George think about Axl Rose being the front man to AC/DC? Let's find out on Strike Zone. So let's welcome back Manager George Tsamis this week. George, let's first of all begin with your team updates.
Okay, yeah, we've had, since we last spoke, we've had a lot of things go on here. We have signed back Angelo Sanko, which I'm guessing people saw, and it's too bad it didn't work out with him with the Dodgers. I guess he had a good camp too, but he just got bumped up by the numbers game, and we thought he was going to go to Mexico, but then that just didn't happen. So it is nice to have him back, and obviously he's a nice big left-handed bat and a great player for us. And so we've signed him back. We have signed Ryan Rotaball back as well, who led the league in saves, and so it's good to have him back. Chris Peacock is a guy that we also signed back, and he's coming into our camp trying to make the team, and we feel we have some quality guys down there, and he's going to have to win a job out of the bullpen. Alec Crawford is another local kid from the University of Minnesota that is classified as a rookie, which we need to carry at least 4 rookies. He's looked pretty good in camp so far too, so he's throwing well, and again, it's nice to have those University of Minnesota guys. And Tanner Vavra, who was released by the Twins, we brought him into our camp, and he'll be given the opportunity to win a job, and his dad is the bench coach for the Minnesota Twins.
Is Alec Crawford coming in to compete for one of your starting rotation spots?
That hasn't been determined yet. It's just tough when you've only seen him throw once. But obviously, we only have 3 starting pitchers right now, and we had some other guys we agreed to, but then they ended up signing with organizations, so that kind of, left us still looking. So we are still looking for 2 starting pitchers.
Well, let us head into our fan questions this week. We first of all begin with Tyler from St. Paul, who says, last season it seemed that your rotation was the strength of your pitching staff. With the players you have signed so far this season, do you see the bullpen as the strength of your pitching staff now?
On paper, the bullpen looks good. We have a few guys down there with, Rotaball and Caleb Zilbar and Cody Wheeler and Gene Escat. And so on paper, it looks good. But learned long ago, on paper doesn't mean anything. And again, in the exhibition game against Fargo the other day, our pitchers did a good job, our relievers did a good job, so there's going to be some competition down there, and again, guys are going to have to win some jobs.
Bill from Plymouth would like to know from you, do you find it hard to try to manage and prepare your team for the season through spring training while also having to be watching for guys to try to sign and negotiating with them to join the team?
It's during the season, it's you got to stay on top of things. You check the waiver wire every morning. You look to see who's released, see who's available. You try to talk to people, and you just got to keep up with it. And times when you're on the road too, when you're on the road, you're sitting in a hotel room all day, waiting for the game. So there's no excuse not to do it. Because what are you going to do on the road in the morning? There's nothing to do. So except for watch the Weather Channel or watch TV. So you got to stay on top of things.
Are there, other than kind of like a waiver wire, are there other spots that you can watch or monitor to see about players that might be released?
Yeah, when players get released from organizations, they're all sent to the league office, and the league office sends them out to all the teams. And so, but you have to stay on top of things, and you need to be checking your email a lot. You just got to follow things.
Clem from Anoka would like to know from you, I've been watching the signings lately, and I have to think you are pretty pleased with the players you have added. What do you think you really need to get at this point to make a difference for you?
We like what we have. We feel we have some a quality lineup, quality pitching. But again, we are short starting pitching, and like I said, we do have a couple of things going, and we're going to see how this plays out here, in the next couple of days.
Michael from St. Paul would like to know from you, why does it say that Vinny DeFazio was with Oklahoma City, but he never seems to play?
He's on the disabled list there in Oklahoma City, and he's not hurt. It's just more of a matter of a roster spot. He's just waiting for his opportunity, and it's kind of like what Nate Hansen went through last year with the Twins. He was on just the Phantom DL for a lot of the season, and it's not that they don't think he can play. It's just waiting for an injury or something to happen or something to get called up or for that roster spot to clear up. So they really like Vinny there, and obviously that's why he's still there. But you just hope something happens where he gets the opportunity.
Next up is Mike from Bloomington, who asks, I bet it is really satisfying to have 4 guys from last year's team that are playing in affiliate ball and a guy who was a scout.
Yeah, it is good. It is really good when your guys have good years and get rewarded for it. And again, having the guys in Mexico as well and doing well too. By the way, Kramer Snead has been outstanding down there. I believe he has like a 1.1 ERA, and
wow.
In his starts, and Dustin Crenshaw's doing real well too, and Zalec's doing well in A-ball. So it is nice when your guys that you had that had good years for you are getting a shot and doing well.
Speaking of Crenshaw and Snead, here's an interesting question. Jim from St. Paul would like to know. He says, George, I hear you talk a lot about how teams only take a serious look at the hard throwers when they are looking to sign players. Do you see yourself getting caught up in that kind of philosophy when looking for pitchers as well, especially considering that you don't really get to see these guys pitch first?
It's a lot of the guys that we don't see, and again, you just go by what you hear about them or what they've done in the past. And you know what, though? The guy can throw 93, 95 miles per hour. If you can't throw it over the plate, does it really matter? So, I would take the guy that throws 87, 88, that knows what he's doing, that knows how to pitch, anytime over the guy that can blow the 93, 95 mile per hour fastball, but can't throw strikes. And obviously, if you have a guy that can throw 93, 95, they can throw strikes, then obviously you want them. But I want the guys out there that pound the zone and know what they're doing and get people out.
Hank from Minneapolis asks, I know you aren't probably happy about the long 2-week trip early in the season, but is it good to know that you have so many home games, especially in July?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough trip, and but every team has to go through a long trip, and it's the way it goes. And I'm glad it is early in the season, and we hope we can just get through that road trip, with healthy and play well. But again, other teams have those long trips too, and I'm just glad we're making that trip earlier in the season instead of in July or August.
I think people forget too that on the long road trip last season, you guys were 9-1, I believe. Wasn't that right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a good trip, and I think we lost the first game down there too, and then I believe we won the rest of them. So it'd be nice to have a good road trip like that.
Paul from Arden Hills would like to know, are you disappointed that you don't get to play teams from the CanAm League this season?
Yeah, either way, if it would have happened while we played them, I would have been fine with it, but we don't, so that's okay too. And sometimes the travel out there too is tough as well, and but this is the way it worked out, and I would have been fine with it either way.
Charlie from Woodbury has a question about your philosophy about managing. He wants to know, are you more of a believer in trying to manufacture runs with bunts and hit and run, or do you play more for the big inning? I've been known to be a guy that likes to bunt, and we will bunt, but it just depends who the hitter is. If you have guys that maybe struggle and swing in the bat, then yeah, we will bunt them over. But it just depends on the situation, who's up to bat, and and with the hit runs, it just depends how a guy's doing. We feel we do have 3 guys that can steal bases, and so you do give them the green light, and maybe put on a hit and run once in a while, but it just depends on the situation and who's coming up to bat. Actually, besides having the guys with speed, you have some guys that really handle the bat well too, like Michael Martin. You just added. I think you guys are going to really be able to do a lot of stuff with your lineup if you wanted to.
Yeah, we hope so. Like I said, we like what we have, but again, they have to go out there and get the job done.
Yes, they do. Ethan from Shakopee would like to know, Skipper, I love hearing you talk about how you hate to see players changing teams. Knowing that, can you believe the Angels are actually thinking of trading Mike Trout? Does that even make sense?
Not really, and I doubt it. You can't believe everything here, and I'd be shocked like everybody else in the world if they did trade him. So I don't know if there's anything to that. And he's just the kind of guy, you just don't trade a guy like that. It's just keep them. They got to work out of their problems and get better, and the guys around them got to do a better job.
Jerry from Circle Pines would like to know, he says the Cubs swept the Nationals this weekend. Do you have any words to make Cubs fans feel this truly is their year?
They look good. It could be, but it doesn't matter. You know, you can have a great season. You know, like last year, obviously we had that great season. Sioux City had the great season as well too, and neither one of us won the championship. So it's just once you get in the playoffs in the short series, anything can happen. But the Cubs sure look good, and sure look they are a fun team to watch, and their manager makes it fun for makes it fun for the players, fun for the fans. So that's a pretty good setup they have going on over there right now.
Next, we have a football question for you. Nate from Richfield asked, I watched Sam Bradford complain when the Eagles moved up to draft a quarterback. People were critical of his demand to be traded. Don't you think, as a former professional athlete, that Bradford's stance was understandable? Or do you see that he just needs to earn his spot and just shouldn't complain?
You know, he's had some injuries in his career, and he's been unlucky with the injuries, and you know, obviously he wants to play, and I guess I understand, you know, why he's saying that. Because he wants to play, he wants to be the guy, but in all fairness, he needs to play better too. And it's, hey, the better you play, they won't go draft another, they won't go draft another quarterback or whatever position you play. So, hey, if he plays good, he'll be the guy out there.
Our last question for this week comes from Trent, who says, George, can you believe that Axl Rose is filling in for Brian Johnson with AC/DC? He's too much of a jerk to be with one of the best bands of all time.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that of that move. I mean, Brian Johnson, to me, I wish that wouldn't have happened. You wish they would have just held off until he can get better or whatever. But I know there's not a lot of people out there that are crazy about Brian Johnson being replaced. So I guess we'll have to see how that one plays out as well.
Well, thank you for joining us this week, George.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we'll see you later.
We want to thank Manager George Tsamis for joining us on Strike Zone this week. If you have your own questions you'd like to ask the St. Paul Saints skipper, please send them to us at AskGeorge@minorleaguesportsreport.com. That's AskGeorge@minorleaguesportsreport.com. Please have your questions to us by Sunday evening so we can give the skipper a little time to review the questions before we record the show. I want to thank you for joining us this week. I'm Rob Pannier, the managing editor of the Minor League Sports Report, and we'll see you next time on Strike Zone.